time for me to do another ramblings. A bit late, but better late than never. So this one basically talks about what I've been up to for pretty much all of this year, really, from start January time till maybe April. So that's 4 months. And yes, so I was in Madagascar, obviously, and was with an NGO called Blue Ventures. And yeah, Blue Ventures is kind of an NGO with its finger in all sorts of different pies, working with the mangroves, the community, and health and social aspects, but mainly marine conservation. And they'd kind of been there for 14 years, maybe a little bit longer, and been running these expeditions, which I joined for that amount of time as well. I basically got there as a result of a marine biologist in Principe recommending them to me. And then it came to the time towards the end of my Madagascar trip, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do next. So let's try Blue Ventures. So I ended up going there and seeing what it was all about, and ended up staying for another expedition as well to complete my dive master and whatnot. So I think I enjoyed myself enough to justify it. But yeah, so I was kind of there on the expedition, as I said, and it was our end game to be able to collect survey data, which should help in kind of weighing out the marine protected areas. So we basically needed to survey sites which were protected and survey sites which weren't, and basically find out whether having these protected sites had made any sort of difference, which the research hasn't been conclusive as of yet. We were based in the southwest of Madagascar in a place called Andavadok, on kind of the Volondrac area, which is kind of a local thing, but it was beautiful. Madagascar, as I said before, is incredibly biodiverse, and we were sort of got towards the south in sort of the desert climate, so it was boiling, and I realised that as soon as I first got down there in the car, that it was boiling, but also at the same time absolutely beautiful. So we got there. I had no real idea what it was going to be like, and I was absolutely blown away with the size of the village and how many people there were, but also, yeah, how beautiful it was. The sea was just a myriad of different blues and greens, and our kind of home, our base, was just set up on a cliff, just overlooking it all, close to the village, and just with our own little lovely beach. Our real day-to-day was just scuba diving. So every morning we'd be up, maybe we did dives at 6, 9 and 11, I think. So you could be up, and we didn't do all 3 of those necessarily, especially not in the first expedition where we only had a team of like 7. But yeah, we'd be up, and that was what we did. So we'd go and scuba dive, and whether it would be for people doing qualification dives, or whether we'd be out there surveying, or just doing point outs or tests on the certain things we were learning. So the 2 areas that we were learning were benthic, so all your corals and all your abiotic life and things like this, but also your fish as well. And usually you'd only do one of those in your expedition, but because I stayed for 2, I ended up doing them both. So for the benthic, yeah, as I said, you're learning the coral. So 40 different species of coral and algae and things you had to learn and be able to identify when it came to doing your transects and the surveys. And this was tested like on computer and in water tests, so you had to be prepared for that. And then the other more complicated side was the fish side. It wasn't too complicated, but it was just a lot to learn. I think there were maybe 140 species of fish with 170 morphotypes. So you had to know them, because if one of them swam across your transect while you're doing the survey, you have to know what it is, or else the data isn't very good. So that took a while to learn, and yet again, that's computer and in the water as well. Also did some diving qualifications while we're there. So my first expedition, I did my rescue diver and my emergency first response course. And yeah, that was pretty good, just stepping up the ladder, putting another dollar into Paddy, as they all say. And then the second expedition, I decided to stay on and do my dive master. And it's great because to be able to do the surveys and whatnot, you have to be at a certain level. So you have to do your open water and then go to your advanced. So for me to do my dive master, where a large chunk of it is assisting on these courses, it was the perfect place to do it, because basically I was just assisting on teaching all my mates how to dive. So that was a really good experience with a really good instructor as well. So scuba diving mostly took place in the morning, so in the afternoons we had plenty of time to knock about, whether it be cooking lessons, learning Malagasy, listening to talks on all the different areas and history of the village and stuff. But there was a lot of time sat on my hammock, reading books, watching stupid TV programs, messing about, playing football, which we did a lot in the second expedition. Me and Max just playing football every day with the locals, and just a lot of time just messing about in the sea, which was just perfect. So we'd work hard during the morning, and then learning and just messing about in the afternoon was exactly what we needed. Of course, in the village as well, they had to have a tiny little discotheque, which we visited frequently, and most of the nights just ended up being hilarious because they were all incredible at dancing, all the locals, so we had to pull out some funny stuff out there, even though the local brew, THB, wasn't the nicest, potentially brewed with formaldehyde, but there was really cheap rum as well, so you win and you lose. We also hit a couple of big away days on either expedition as well, where we went down to Tampuluve and kind of did some monitoring on the last kind of real population of spider tortoises, and went and saw the seaweed and sea cucumber farms and how they were all coming along, which was hilarious, just getting out with everyone, leaving where we'd been for ages and just change the scenery and just messing about there, swimming down through the mangroves and whatnot. And they were so cute as well, the spider tortoises. I mean, that was an amazing thing to see. But finding them, on the other hand, that was a real struggle. I won on the first expedition with one spider tortoise, and that was it. But yeah, that was basically a quick summary about my time in Madagascar and with Blue Ventures. And yeah, it was amazing, surrounded by some great people, all the boys who were there, all the local boys, all the expedition staff, and kind of everyone on the expeditions as well, was just made it so special and so much fun, and ended up learning so much. Obviously, getting my dive master was an amazing thing, but also the things you just learn up by just speaking to everyone and having random chats about everything. Just really good experience. So then it was time to move on. Bam bam.